How were things in California now? The first 3 days here and getting ready for Tucson. It's sort of that grind you're going
Things have been good. California was good, for a preseason camp where we tried to get a lot of fitness done. It was pretty ideal. The fields were very good. The whole setup, we were happy with, and we got our work in. Coming back here now, we tried to not ease into it, but we wanted to make sure the guys recovered a little bit, but also get some work in, and I think we've accomplished that. So we're very happy where we're at right now, and just getting ready for Arizona, and which is the final phase of that game phase right now.
I know you got Clint on the field today. He's a few days off. How's he looking? Kind of thing?
Clint's fine. Obviously we got to be a little bit different now with his rhythm because of the fact that he went into the January camp with the national team. So he's been training a lot longer than the other guys. We have all the information in terms of where he was at fitness, what his yards were, what he covered. So we talked about his plan. And today we wanted him to come out. He regened yesterday. Today we wanted to come out, just go through the warm up, then do a little bit of running. He'll be off tomorrow. Then Friday he'll be full into our training, and then probably Saturday we'll give him another day off, and then he's full on in with us when we go to Arizona.
What opportunities does the Alonso surgery give to other guys on your team?
Well, whenever somebody's out, it always means playing time for other people. So it's a great opportunity for Michael Lazira, for Andy Rose. Michael Lazira stepped in last year at key times. Andy had some injuries that kept him out, but came in and played, I thought, some really good minutes against the Galaxy in the last game. So it's certainly opportunities for those two guys. Certainly an opportunity for Christian Roldan to get some minutes in the middle of midfield as well.
Do you see Roldan potentially as a defensive midfielder? I know you played farther up in college, but his coach always said they thought he might be a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a defensive midfielder yet. He definitely belongs more in the middle of the park than on the outside. He can also play on the outside in a pinch. Right now, as all guys, when they come from college, he's still adjusting to the speed of play and decision making and doing that a little bit quicker. But he's a very humble kid, very eager kid. He learns very quickly. And, he's making good progress. So somewhere in the middle. I'm not sure yet if he's the defensive guy or more attacking guy.
With Ozzie's recovery, is he going to be traveling with you guys at Tucson, or is he going to kind of stay up here?
We're going to talk about that a little bit today. Ozzie's actually coming along really well. He's already walking on the treadmill and doing things like that. So we're going to see if he's still at a situation where he's doing stuff inside. We're probably going to keep him here while he works on things inside. But once he's able to get out on the field and touch the ball a little bit, at that point, we'd bring him into Tucson and have him join our club.
Coach, your impressions on Andres Correa, and where do you see him playing?
Correa's a left back. I don't know. I read some things where a lot of people were talking about him as a center back. He's not a center back. He's a left back. Could probably play left midfield as well. I think he's very good with the ball. He's got good quickness, got good speed. He's tenacious. He battles people. In one-on-one duels. And he's able to get forward. And get people involved. In the game against the Galaxy, he was the one who set up Papa's goal. By getting forward and hitting the crossover. So he's a left back that can also get forward.
How did you get involved, and how did you enjoy the writing portion on the Zakuani book?
It was interesting. I've always enjoyed writing, although my father told me that wasn't a profession. Sorry. So he made me take economics. And so writing's always sort of been fun. And I don't even know how much they edited or changed it. So I sort of wrote it. And but I think Steve was a very special player who unfortunately went through that hardship of the injury. And I was very honored, as I said, to be able to write the forward for him. And that he asked me to do it. But it was a lot of fun. I wrote a book way back when, a fitness book with somebody, and then before that I did a book with Kevin Crowe and Tattoo, just because I wanted the experience of writing. So writing's always sort of been in there.
So it's a fine line whether you can even talk about the labor issues, but how would free agency or potential free agency change the way you evaluate players? And it would change everything, I would imagine.
I'm sure it would, but that's something that I don't spend a lot of time on thinking about. I know the league has been established on certain principles, and you know, how single entity works is something that other people determine, and how that fits into that is something that others will determine as well. But it's certainly, you know, an issue that was there in all sports. You know, I mean, one of my the reason I actually got into economics and enjoyed it once at UCLA was it was right at the time when free agency was starting to hit baseball with the whole Curt Flood thing and everything. And so there was a economics professor whose class was wage theory, and he loved baseball. So we spent the entire quarter talking about you know, free agency in baseball, and you know, Curt Flood, and eventually Andy Messersmith and all those guys. So it was an interesting thing. So I definitely have thoughts and ideas on it, but you know, they don't pay me to, you know, reveal those.
The lack of roster turnover and the continuity you have from last year, has that made this camp, I guess, more productive or easier to get going than previous years?
I mean, it's certainly because of the familiarity with you know, everybody, the players with each other and so forth. It's been a very easy camp that way. But you know, there's new guys here too, Correa and you know, Tyrone Mears and Roldan and you know, Charlie Lyon, the goalkeeper, and other guys that are in here right now. So so that part's been positive. And you know, and we're not done. You know, we're probably not the finished product. We're maybe being a little more cautious than some other teams. Some other teams are maybe making assumptions as to what's going to be, where we're sitting back a little bit more and trying to make sure that we're in a position to be able to help our club when everything gets settled.
With Steve's injury, someone kind of pointed to that as a turning point that maybe spurred MLS to kind of take on some of the physical play. Have you noticed any changes in the years since, and is that maybe part of his longer-term legacy with the league?
You know, I can say, I mean, to me, his injury was sort of a freak occurrence, and I think you can never legislate or try and referee against those freak occurrences occurring. You know, sometimes they're going to happen. You know, it's just one of those unfortunate things. You know, we see them all the time in some other sports where there's a bad break or a bad fall or an injury or something like that. And you know, but I think from a standpoint of protecting talented players, you know, I think the league over the years has done a much better job of that, of protecting the attacking players and giving them the ability to display their skills and their abilities. I think the league's done a much better job. The referees have done a better job of that.
Being so close to MLS Cup last season, do you sense a greater urgency, desire, hunger from your players to get back to that level and beyond?
Shoot, I'm hungry as hell. You know, I think the players are as well. You know, I mean, we thought we had a very, very good season, and obviously our goals are similar this year. I mean, we'd like to defend our supporters' shield. We'd like to, you know, get after the Open Cup again, but we definitely want MLS Cup as well, and we want to make sure we qualify for the next stage of the CONCACAF Champions League, because that's an important part for our club as well. So there's definitely hunger there. The guys know that there was unfinished business. There was stuff laying on the table. We win our last game of the season, but we're out. You know, that's a hard one to swallow, because generally you're not out when you win your last game of the season. And you know, I can't think of you know, the last time I won the last game of the season and didn't either win the championship or keep playing. So you know, I don't know if that's ever happened since youth soccer for me. So it's something that we want to do for sure.
Would you like to see some sort of resolution between the requirements for the players to go to the national team, taking time away from the regular season for MLS? Any thoughts on that?
You know, I mean, I think, you know, I know there's been a lot of talk, you know, and a lot of talk in terms of the fitness levels and Jurgen being disappointed in the off seasons and what the other guys do in the other sports. I mean, I think when you look at the other sports, you know, they have huge off seasons. I mean, it's really long off seasons, and I think the percentage of guys in the other sports that go and seek out individual training and coaching is maybe not as big a percentage as people realize, you know, so maybe a smaller percentage. But then, you know, they also have enough off time that they realize, okay, now it's time to kick it into gear. You know, in the case of of our players, like for example for Clint Dempsey, I told Clint he needed to take the time off because he had played such a long season last year, and for him to take a week off and then prepare 2-3 weeks for the national team camp would have been ridiculous. And so from that standpoint, each one is an individual situation. What happens to that January camp, how they treat that January camp. It's an opportunity sometimes to look at players. We have a unique situation in the U.S., but I also think we're at a stage where, depending on what happens and when we're able to start practices and all that, maybe we should let the players go through the preseason with their clubs and then maybe free up the national team windows and unclutter them with MLS games and allow then the national team to look at their players.